Well, it's been almost 4 decades since we were introduced to the world of Predator, which eventually was a pretty darn good film and had numerous sequels that were hit or miss, even a little bit of a crossover with the Alien franchise. And I've just recently watched the newest installment of the franchise, which came out last November in Predator Badlands, which has been on physical media for a while and is also now available to watch on Hulu. But is this recent hit film worthy enough to check it out for the good hunt of a sci fi film? Or is this one due to have its bones loosened from the itself? Find out in this spoiler free review right now. BD's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a spoiler free review of the 2025 sci fi action flick Predator Badlands, released by 20th Century Studios, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, and written by Patrick Ason, from a story by Trachtenberg and Ason himself. This is the seventh installment of the Predator franchise, starring Elle and Dimitrius Schuster-Koloamatangi in the leading roles. It follows a young exiled yacha named Deck, who crash lands on a hostile planet and must prove himself worthy of the hunt by killing an apex predator, leading him to form an alliance with Thea, a Wayland Yutani Corporation android. The film was released last November, on November 7th, here in the US of 2025, excuse me, after just a few days after it premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater. And eventually got good reviews from everyone, despite this being the first actual film in the Predator timeline not to get an R rating, but being the second overall counting AVP. But this was the first film in the Predator timeline alone. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yes. The thing about this is, I think I had to give it credit for what it had to offer. Definitely. Now then, I'm gonna say this one's not gonna be easy, but I'm gonna go ahead and get into this a little bit of this story. Now, of course, with spoiler-free reviews, this will not contain the whole story, just a little bit of it. Deck is a Yatsha runt from the Yatsha home planet of Yatsha Prime. Seeking approval from his father, clan leader Nyor, Derek, not Derek, I got tongue tied there. Deck plans to hunt the Kalisk, an apex predator on the death planet Jenna, feared even by Nyor. Before Deck can leave, Nyor arrives and orders Deck's brother Quay to kill him, deeming him too weak for the clan. Defying the order, Quay activates his ship to transport Deck to Jenna, fighting Nyor, only to be defeated and lose an arm. Deck watches helplessly as Nyor executes Quay. Upon crash landing, Deck faces numerous dangers from Jenna's flora and fauna, losing almost all of his gear. He reluctantly allies with Thea, a damaged Wayland Yutani Corporation android whose team was destroyed by the Kalisk. Excuse me again. Thea offers to help Deck track the Kalisk. Later, they are joined by a friendly creature that Thea names Bud, which marks Deck with her saliva while they are camping out of gratitude to Deck for saving her from a wild beast and feeding her. Deck later reveals to Thea that his father killed Quay, prompting Thea to teach him about the wolves on Earth, and that the Alpha Wolf protects the pack. But Deck misunderstands her words and believes he will be the Alpha who kills the most. Meanwhile, Thea's sister, Tessa, is retrieved by whaling Yutani androids and is repaired at their main base, where she is threatened with decommissioning if she fails her mission as told of Deck's presence if while on Jenna and that Thea is with him. Joined by Wayland Yutani team, Tessa begins searching for Deck's group, stumbling across his crashed ship and finding his lost equipment, including cryogenic explosives. Now, that's all the story I will give to you. Now, if you want to know the rest, you must see the movie. Now, for my thoughts on Predator Badlands, I'm going to say this is pretty good, actually. Well, I don't really think this has much of a connection to any of the films, so this is kind of a standalone sequel. I will admit, this film's not too bad, despite its PG-13 rating, because we don't see much of any humans that get killed, just aliens and androids. So this kind of gives it a good reason to get PG-13, because a lot of moviegoers weren't really thrilled, but it seems their opinions were changed, I believe. But anyway, upon its release, the film did pretty decent enough. The film went on to make 184 million worldwide on its 105 million dollar budget, making it the most successful and highest grossing film in the Predator franchise to date, surpassing the last film, 2018's The Predator. But however, unlike that film, this film got decent reviews. Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 86%, where it says director Dan Trachtenberg, who recently did the prequel to Predator, Prey, and then following up with the other Predator film which came out last year, the animated film Predator Killer of Killers, continues to take the Predator franchise in exciting new directions with Badlands, a rollicking adventure that transforms one of cinema's most iconic brutes into a hero worth rooting for. I agree and what have you on that. Metacritic has a score of 71, and audiences polled by CinemaScore gave it an A minus, the highest in the Predator franchise to date, and it received a 78% definite recommend on PostTrack. Well, I have to say this is really something. Now, it's gotten lots of good reviews. Consequences Liz Shannon Miller gave this an A minus, stating that Badlands flips the approach and finds something fresh and wonderful and bold as a result, as if James Cameron had made Terminator 2 entirely from the T-800's point of view. Tim Robbie of the Daily Telegraph gave this 4 out of 5 stars, praising Badlands' ability to humanize a film in which not a single human features. But not all reviews were positive, however, but I'm going to try not to get into much of that subject. Elle, however, was described as a sprightly breath of fresh air, winsomely cutting through the grit and honor stolidity of the Predator mindset, according to Richard Lawson of The Hollywood Reporter, going on to say that her character steers the film away from impossible bleakness. So that's good and what have you. So I have to give this film credit for what it had to offer. The film actually more recently won an award for Elling. Well, not Elfang. There I go again. Get all sidetracked and what have you. I'm sorry. This happens when you get old and what have you. Fanning recently won Best Actress in a Film at the Saturn Awards this past month, so that was pretty cool. But I will say this film kind of comes smack dab right there in the middle of the franchise if I ranked it and what have you. So even though I like the first Predator, and I'm gonna say this kind of beats out some others, but however I could be wrong, but I kind of think this would be smack dab in the middle. But even so, I found Predator Badlands to be pretty enjoyable and what have you. With its score by Sarah Schachner and Benjamin Wallfish, they did an exceptionally good job on this. Of course, they had recently worked on the scores for Prey and Predator Killer of Killers as well. So that's really cool. There was a tie-in prequel comic book that came out set shortly after, well, before the events of the film. which came out a few days later after the film's release by Marvel. Now, of course, Trachtenberg intends to direct a third Predator film if this was successful, and it did pretty well. Anyway, discussions are ongoing with original franchise star Arnold Schwarzenegger about reprising his role as Dutch in a future installment. Of course, you know him from the first film. In a January 2023 interview, Amber Midthunder, the lead star of Prey, said the cast of that film was in talks with Trachtenberg for a sequel. So we'll see what happens if that materializes and what have you. Anyway, Dan Trachtenberg is back in the director's seat of this film, and just like with Prey and Predator Killer of Killers, he does an amazing job with this and what have you. So this is pretty good. Well, not quite as good as Prey, but still, he manages to steer this film's story in the right direction. The only kind of issues I had was not that much talk and what have you, and mostly was subtitles used for the Predators talk and what have you. Yeah, but nevertheless, I still felt the film was pretty good. Playing in both Thea and Tessa is Elle Fanning. She does an exceptionally good job as these two. Does a great job. Now, but I really like Dimitrius Schuster-Koloamatangi as Dick. Now, I must say, he is incredible. Definitely. Now, of course, we have lots of others and what have you, but that's but not that many I can remember of and what have you. Oh well. But a fun fact I learned the Duffer Brothers, who of course worked on Netflix's hit Stranger Things, provide the voice of the onboard computer for Quay's ship. Now, actually, Trachtenberg was originally set to direct the third episode of the last season of this, but was unable to when Badlands got greenlit for production. Oh well, it would have been pretty cool if he had done it, but well, that's life. But of the whole, I found Predator Badlands to be pretty good. Not the best Predator film overall, but still manages to do well even with a PG-13 rating. So it's not too bad. Anyway, if you want to see the film is currently available on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra HD. You can you can rent or buy on streaming. I usually don't bring that up, but it's also available to watch if you have Hulu or Disney Plus with Hulu. So it's definitely a pretty good watch, you know. Okay, for my score, I'm going to give Predator Badlands 4 stars. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 8.5. So, what did you think of Predator Badlands? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of. Oh boy, I'm so ready to tackle this, even though I haven't watched this in a long time. Probably won't. But I'm going to talk about the film Say It Isn't So. So if you like this, check out my reviews of the previous installments of the Predator franchise that Dan Trachtenberg had worked on. Check out my spoiler-free review of Prey in the upper left-hand corner, or my spoiler-free review of Predator Killer of Killers in the upper right-hand corner. Or if you'd like another sci-fi film, check out my recent spoiler-free review of the newest hit film out there, which has been doing good now, Project Hail Mary in the bottom left hand corner. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.